Hi. Hello, guys. So, this is Lisa, an occupational therapist specialized in Padawan therapy, master degree in autism spectrum disorder. And we are going to start soon because I have a topic prepared for you today about understanding hand flapping and stereotypical movement in children. So, I hope, first of all, that all of you who are connected and connecting through, these lives, will get some good tips. That the idea a little bit of this topic of today, and that we can solve. If you have questions, I can solve some of your questions and answer your questions, and also provide you some nice and interesting topics. So, like introduction, like I said before, so my name is Lisa. I'm an occupational therapist. I work with kids with special needs of different ages and different difficulties. That's I always say. We are live here every Wednesday around 7:30 p.m. I try to be on time, but I always finish my sessions first, so then I rush in to connect with you and talk with you. And exactly. And so basically, the reason why I choose this topic is because lately I've been working with a couple of kids that we were working on, actually on stereotypical movement and hand flappings particularly, and we were now working on those suggestions for parents, like how best to explain and also to show, and how we can actually intervene and what to do, in those situations. And I know that it's a topic that for many parents and also educators, it's a quite interesting topic, because we need to know what to do when we see our kid flapping the hand or getting excited, right? And we see these movements, repetitive movement. And sometimes we don't know how to act and actually what to do. Yeah, so I really would like to focus on these behaviors. Well, that's it basically. I hope you will enjoy it, and and that's it. So, like I said before, not only we are going to be talking on these topics, right? Now, not always, whenever we talk about hand flapping, stereotypical movement, it's equal / to autism. Okay, so I want to start from there, because many times we are we are actually, very focused on, okay, so if we're talking about hand flapping, that means that it's autism. Or when we are working on certain stereotypical movement, or children, getting excited, overexcited, etc., we are talking about autism. Sometimes we can have sensory processing disorder, sometimes we can have global developmental delay, and that's fine as well. Sometimes we are going to have maybe other difficulties that will be affecting our nervous system and the way how our sensory systems are settling down. Okay, so like I said in one of the videos, I think in one of the lives, just by the way, all the lives are always in my page, so you can always watch them. You can do, basically, you can check, you can write me a comment, you can share them. Obviously, I always more than thankful for your likes, subscribes, and support, to this channel, and not only this channel, but also Panacea Therapy Center, which is my clinic. Okay, so basically, and not only my clinic, but the job that we do. Yeah, because it's important. So I want to get that clear, not only because when we're talking about hand flapping and stereotypical movement, it's mean that the child has autism. But it is very often seen, especially when the kids are small, that children will start having some sensory issues. And the way how we are going to express our sensory issues is through maybe spinning the wheel, maybe I don't know, pushing the door, maybe, I don't know, flapping the hands when we're extremely excited, or getting, fixated with one particular toy, or sometimes just manipulating small items between our hands, and you are like, okay, there are plenty of toys, why we are stuck with this one particular toy. So then it's when the psychologist and also the other therapists can say, like, okay, maybe there is something going on in the development. So basically this topic comes also through because many times it's something that we hear a lot, we read a lot, but parents still don't know why is the reasons happening and how does it happen. Okay. The hand flapping and stereotypical movement, they will play an essential place in our development, because through, even though you think that the child is flapping and the child is doing some movement with the fingers or with the eyes or with the cheek or with the fingers on the cheeks, or for example on the table or against the glass or whatever, or banging the toy against the table, for example, that is still a learning process. So the child is getting information through that. It could be the sound, it could be the fact that he is playing with the toy, but this is the way how he is playing. It could be the shape of the toy, etc. It's still a learning process. So many times I try to say that if you see your child doing stereotypical movement or a repetitive movement, it is okay to stop, but it is also okay to see what happened during that activity. For example, I have a particular kid who likes to keep two balls in his hands. So basically we are going to be working and he really feels comfortable and secure because he will keep these two balls close to him all the time. Now, many times and often I hear therapists saying you have to remove it, we have to put it out of the room, we have to hide it, we have to place it somewhere else. Don't worry, because it's not something that he's doing on purpose to bother you as a therapist or you as a mom or a father. He's doing that because somehow he is missing that maybe emotional aspect, maybe that self-confidence, or maybe it's a way of to controlling and making sure that he's comfortable within the environment, and he need that extra secure object to feel secure. Okay, so I often, what I do, I don't just decide like, okay, this is not needed, shouldn't be, ciao. I try to observe, I take my time, I do a couple of observations, and then I see how important and which role are those balls playing in our therapy sessions. Can I incorporate those balls in my therapy session or in my activities? For example, I would like the kid to sit down and to work on the table, but he is fixated with those balls. Maybe I can play on the floor and do the activity instead of on the table, on the floor. Or maybe I can place the balls on the table, do the activity, and then we go and we play with the balls, etc., etc. There are plenty of things that we can be doing. However, I always suggest you to observe the stereotypical movement or the reason sensory movement that is happening, or sensory situation that is happening, or for example when he is squeezing the hands, or maybe pinching, or other type of behaviors that are appearing there, because sometimes they will be lead towards a behavior situation, but the beginning from this type of little things that I'm mentioning, it's sensory, it's purely sensory. However, with the time and because of the repetition, all repetitive movements end up then, or we stop them and we find another repetitive movement, or we end up having a behavior difficulty regarding that particular object. Okay. I am going to just continue a little bit here. So what I do, for example, I will observe a little bit this particular behavior, this situation, and then I will say, okay, I can introduce the balls as part of my activities and see how important they are during my activity. And then I will see, maybe I can do some imitation, maybe I can do some matching, maybe I can start doing some cognitive activities actually with those two balls. And eventually I will remove those two balls. And eventually the importance of those two balls will not be any more relevant in our therapy sessions. But when we start straight away and we come and we say, okay, this no, this yes, don't worry, because tomorrow he's going to go to the childcare, he's going to go to the school, or he's going to go to the playground, he will see two balls and he will do exactly the same. Because you are not satisfying his sensory need, you are just blocking his sensory need, telling him, no, you cannot do that because you shouldn't have two balls in your hands, and because of a particular reason. that you decide that this is how it is, but it's okay. The kid will adapt, will say, okay, you don't want to provide me that sensory stimulation that I need in the moment, I will find it somewhere else. It's not an issue. And in fact, this happens very often. I have a lot of parents who tells me, listen, he stopped doing this, but now he's doing that. He stopped playing with the sockets or with the switches, and now he's playing with the door. Now he's banging his head against the wall, and he used to bite, etc., etc. What I'm mentioning, you are not hand flapping, but they are part of stereotypical movements, activities that leads towards behavior issues in the future, but they start always in a, I will say, in a sensory way. The child is missing something, he's compensating with something else, and because we are not able to see what is missing, he tends to diverse this issue towards a behavior issue. So I hope that this is a little bit clear, and I hope that you are not really losing here yourself. Okay, so I'm just trying to provide enough information, but at the same time try to give you a little bit of a background. So then what are then the stereotypical movements? Okay, so what is considered stereotypical movements, and then it's what we are going to be calling like a repetitive behaviors. So for example, like I said before, hand flapping, we're going to have rocking, we're going to have spinning, like I said, with the wheel. Now for example, you will have a lot of kids playing with the wheels, or finding small coins or small balls and flipping them or spinning them around. Finger flicking, all of that are called stimming or repetitive behaviors. And this is when we are going, because it's a very big group, we are going to categorize them inside, right? And for me, as a therapist, I always categorize them that it's like not a lack, but it's a sensory experience that the child is having. Instead of playing with the ball or playing with the block in the typical way, okay, the standardized way that we see the majority of kids does, the child with autism, sensory processing disorder, or maybe other difficulty, neurological difficulty, or sensory issues around, is developing a stereotypical, a little bit diverse, different way of having experience, sensory experience with that particular object. So if it's a wheel, or it's a ball, or it's a car, or whatever, right? So sometimes kids become very overwhelming by playing something, or by the lights, by the sound, by moving the finger up and down, and it stimulates them in a very deep level. So they become overexcited, they become overwhelmed, and then we are having this like meltdowns, or this incredible like laughing and you cannot stop, and then we're crying suddenly, etc., etc. So obviously, when we are having difficulties in regulate our emotions, we are having difficulties in regulate our sensory needs. We have difficulties with attention, we have difficulties with sitting posture, we have difficulties to cooperate in the classroom, and this is the reason why then we come and say like, okay, this kid doesn't know anything. He barely knows how to do colors, how to match and sort, and how to recognize numbers from 1 to 10. When actually the kids know the shapes, he knows the alphabet, he knows the numbers, he knows the letters long time ago, you know what I mean? But because due to his sensory need, due to his different type of I will say lack of sensory activities, he is right now not focusing on your academic thing. He doesn't really care about the page that you put in front, right? What he wants basically is to satisfy his hand flapping, or his stimming with the eyes, or the stimming with the finger, or the clicking noise, because this is what he needs in that moment, okay? Muchos saludos a ti también, muchas gracias, Alex. Gracias. Aquí lo intentamos hacer un buen trabajo como siempre. Bueno, sorry guys, so I will continue. So why do we engage, for example, why do we work on sensory regulation? Why it's so important having sensory regulation and regulation of emotions? That's I posted today. I think we work with this like a card of zones of regulation, and there are plenty of activities nowadays online. There are a lot of things that we can do in order to set up this hand flapping, this steaming, spinning, etc. Experiences. And one of them is sensory regulation. Means that obviously your occupational therapist needs to be on board, or otherwise parents who are, who are educating themselves, they're listening to lives like, for example, this one, or reading around, etc. That we can say, okay, my kid, actually, I can identify this type of steaming that he is having, or maybe this type of difficulty, and I can actually help him in this way or the other way. Sensory regulation is extremely important, not only for to satisfy your sensory needs, but also to provide you that calming area where actually if your emotions were up or down, we try to bring you to just right, to a level where you feel calm, you feel that you can have that logical thinking, that you can pay attention, that you can answer to the questions, etc., etc. Because when we are steaming, when we are hand flapping because we are extremely excited, we are having a deep sensory need from our nerve system telling us we need to, not like we need to flap our hands, but the way how we are going to express our emotions is, instead of having like a big deep laugh about it, we are going to flap our hands, right? Or we are going to do other type of examples that I already mentioned before, and I don't want to repeat myself. So it is not coming because I decide to do that on purpose to mama papa, or I want to do it against my teacher or my therapist. It is purely natural. It is something that is happening, and it's happening because of a reason. Until the moment we don't identify why is the reason that, or what is the reason causing that hand flapping, we will not know exactly how we can work about it, or how we can prevent it, or how we can minimize it and maybe maximize other way of expressing our emotions. In the meantime, we have to make sure that this is not on purpose, that is nothing that the child is doing for you on purpose to call your attention or whatever. That is more deep behavior issues that I'm not going to go in today. So we are talking purely about sensory need. And it is happening because of a extra emotion. So most probably we are having, if we take the zones of regulation, we have the blue zone, the green zone, the yellow, and the red. Then it means that we are between the yellow and the red. So maybe we're a little bit frustrated, maybe we're overexcited, maybe we're angry, maybe we are a little bit too emotional about something that is happening, or like, I don't know, there is a new toy and the toy is spinning and singing and everything at the same time. So all of that. So we have to see how we can regulate the kid, provide enough sensory input to regulate him to the green zone. The green zone is the one that you want to look for. The green zone is going to be the one that you want to satisfy, because the green zone is the one of happy, calm, attentive, I'm capable to collaborate, like I said, answer the question, etc., etc. So in order for us to remain grounded, present and calm, we can apply certain sensory, just give me 1 second, I change my posture. We can apply some certain sensory activities that will help to maximize and obviously to bring your child to this calming position, this calming situation. So not just flashcards, okay? We can work with flashcards, we can show stories, we can do social stories about emotions, we can do different activities, but the best is in hand flapping, stereotypical movement, like for example spinning the balls, flapping hand, I don't know, pinching. It will be between sensory and behavior, depends on the situation, because sometimes I will say it's not the best example, no, but everything that has to be with excessive movement of our body, the best is deep pressure. So for example, squeezing our arms, or we can show that how we can squeeze, or we can give a big nice deep hug to our client, our kid, or whoever is in front who needs it. And hand pressing, this is the most common what I'm using today. For example, on my Instagram page, I posted a video that I'm using for a kid. I call them the deep pressure massage. I use them a lot. Kids who are having difficulties in W sitting position, attention, kids who are unable, they are like really busy on the floor, they are unable to sustain a little bit of attention and wait for my instructions. They need to move, they need to fidget around, they need to pick up, they need to scratch their fingers on the mat, etc, etc. Kids who needs to entertain themselves on the floor or on the swings, or they are all the time, like I call them the busy monkeys. Those kids really need a lot of proprioceptive movement. How we provide proprioceptive movement is through the pressure. Like I said, squeezing our hands, okay, squeezing our arms, all right, deep hugs, deep pressure massage. So you ask your child to lay down on the floor, you go through the body from the head till the toes, nicely providing a nice deep massage, and I'm pretty sure that you will see extreme result. If in the moment you are doing an activity and you see the kid flapping the hands and excited, just go there, don't stop, don't say, hey, listen, stop it, don't do that, don't repeat that. Just go, continue with the flow of the activity that you're doing, go with the hand pressing, go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and continue doing your job. Don't put too much attention on it, because then we can, like I'm telling you, you don't want that the sensory issue becomes a behavior issue or a habit. So be very careful about that. Analyze properly when the stereotypical movement is happening and apply the pressure. Hands, you can give like, I would like to give you a good hug, or you look very excited, you look very happy, let me give you a hug, certain things like that, something that it can be incorporated at any time. You can do it in the classroom, you can do it in the playground, you can do it at home. You don't need to have a specific tool to work on flapping or to work on spinning. This is something that can be applied on a daily basis at any time, basically. Okay, communication is extremely important. I like to say that if we work with verbal kids, definitely work through zones of regulation and work on the what's meaning regulation, what's meaning the stereotypical movement, like for example the flapping hands. Okay, we're going to work on your flapping hands because we are working with kids who are verbal. Depends on the obviously level of cognition, understanding, etc. Kids who are non-verbal, I will definitely avoid any type of like big speeches, even though I like to talk a lot and I try to always provide information, but more use like counting, or days of the week, or anything else that you would like to mention, or even a song. It doesn't matter, but I will just go for the physical contact, and you will see immediately that for example, the eye contact of the kid improves, the child stops, or even ask you to repeat it. This is super cute when it happens. For example, when you are doing, the child is like really hysterical because something is, is upsetting him or her, and you do like pressure, and the kid just stops, looks at you, and he's like, okay, give me more, this is what I like. And this is the way how you can actually notice that, okay, this is really working, like the kid is like really in a big need of the pressure, of having that someone kind of like pulling him down, say, hey, let's calm down, let's relax, breathing exercises helps a lot. Listening to calming music helps a lot. When I'm suggesting breathing exercises, I'm not intending that you're going to say stop everything and let's breathe. We breathe, otherwise we will not survive, right? But I'm just saying, like, maybe you can combine with some activities. You are doing an activity, say, okay, let's stop for a little bit, let's do 10 breath, no? And you continue. It's not an activity, it's not a strategy that you want to interrupt your process if you are a therapist or a parent, no, and you are working on something particularly. But it's more like it can be an asset for you to say like, okay, I have like 3 or 4 activities that I can be doing in case if my kid is showing some excitement or angry issues, no, and one of them it's this. Another one it's music, and I like to use it in the way of like, not like, okay, Manuel, we are going to listen music, no, on a daily basis, maybe randomly, doesn't matter, time to time you put some calm music while he's working at home, or maybe while he's playing. It's something that has to become part of your routine. It's not something that you are introducing because Lisa told you so, okay? If you are not a fan of classical relaxing music, maybe you can find another type of music, or maybe a setup. Nowadays there are so many things done already in Spotify or YouTube or videos, that it can go with your flow and your mood, and the kids mood as well. And you can actually it's super helpful for both, for the parent, for the therapist, and for the kid. So you can be working together, no, in this. And obviously, for me, the best suggestion that I can give you, besides the pressure, because the pressure for me is the best, it's physical activity. Physical activity above all of them. Physical activity helps us to regulate our emotions. I think any of you, if I ask you if you go to the gym, how do you feel after? Everybody will answer me the same. Even if you were feeling super mega tired to go to the gym, after the gym you feel like, okay, I really needed it. Thanks God I went. So everybody complains, no? But then our body feels it. You sleep better, you have a better appetite, the next day you wake up better, you have, even if you had issues because you don't drink enough water, you are thirsty, you build up, totally a different attitude the next day or whatever. So physical activity helps. I am a true fan of physical activity. So what I do is I select a couple of activities according to the zones, of how we feel. And if the child is extremely happy, maybe we're going to do some heavy activities. So the peanut ball or trampolining or different type of swings, maybe the ladder swing or the disc swing, something that's a little bit more heavy for the kid. So we are going to work on pushing that energy down. In the sense, don't take me wrong, you don't want your kid to stop being happy. But when I'm talking about excitement, when I'm talking about hand flapping, when I'm talking about stereotypical movement, we're not talking about just my kid is happy. Your kid is extremely happy. His arousal level is so high that he's not listening to you, he's not paying attention to you, he's not there, he's not here. He's so much involved by his sensory experiences going on that it's very difficult for you to connect. It's difficult maybe to maintain eye contact. It's difficult to maybe to connect in any emotional communication level. So this is where some issues can come out, okay? Like I said, for me, the fact that the child has hand flapping or have some stereotypical movements, it's not something that it's negative, it's just different. And nowadays, everything that is different, it looks like, okay, this is the weird part, But like I said, we have typical development and atypical development. Now, I am really questioning myself how many adults are typical, and how many kids are developing typically. So I will say that let's try to avoid, the fact that, stare sometimes when you see a child flapping the hands or doing a sound, because stimming, and I want to make a pause here, stimming, it's not only physical. We can do stimming with our mouth, so verbal stimming. We can do stimming with our eyes. We can do stimming in different sensations, okay, with different parts of our body. So when you see a kid doing a vocal sound with the hand, try to not to just stare around, it's just another way of expressing his happiness or whatever. Now you're a parent of being in that park. You don't want your kid to overdo the stimming, or you don't want the kid to become overexcited, so then you cannot calm himself. Go directly for the hug, go directly for the pressure, for the squeezing. Have with you maybe a therapeutic ball that you can squeeze and you can use it. Different type of, activities that can be really helpful, and especially strategies that you can use at any time, at any time. Obviously, if you are at school, you're in a school basis, you're in a therapy room, make sure that you provide breaks. Breaks are very important. So if you're doing something too complicated or too exciting and the kid is not angry or frustrated or worried, but he is extremely, happy, we have to break it down, have a little break, provide a sensory input completely the opposite. So the regulation, the sensory regulation will be working, okay? Because this is the way how you can work on regulation. It's not something they say, listen, regulate yourself. It doesn't work like that, okay? So, or the same when the parents are like, stop the flapping, stop the shouting, stop the screaming. Yes, I am the first one that sometimes in the therapy sessions I am capable to repeat some of these, commands. But I know who is in front of me. I know the kid so well that I know exactly in which extreme, in which situation I can apply this comment. Obviously, my job here is to provide you, like a full understanding of stereotypical movement, what we can be doing, which strategies we can be using, etc. So you feel comfortable when you're outside, you feel comfortable when you're with others, or when you are just one-to-one with the kid. So make sure that you observe a lot. Like I'm saying, the key of you to understand the reason why the child is behaving in one way or the other is that you know the reason why he's doing that, because you learned, you observed, you educate yourself. And this is the best way forward that we can actually do in order to improve something what we want to improve. If you want your kid to stop flapping hands, by saying stop flapping hands, like I told you before, is not going to happen. But maybe if we get a couple of strategies working on and we give a try, we give like 1-2 weeks to try it out, maybe actually we can say, okay, this kid actually really improved by using the arm squeezing or big hugs, or maybe by going on a trampoline for 10-15 minutes. Okay, so all of that. If you would like to have some resources about these zones of regulations or examples of activities, write me, send me a message on Instagram. Like I told you, follow me on social media, contact me. I will definitely forward them to you. That's not an issue at all. Okay, they are available online as well, plenty of them. But if you would like I'm telling you the one, for example, that I'm using, no issue, just contact me and I will forward them to you when I have some time. So basically, I will encourage parents, educators, everyone who is listening this video or not listening, but just scrolling down and suddenly hear Miss Lisa talking, try to embrace the behavior, try to embrace the stereotypical movement, trying to embrace the sensory experiences as they are, analyze them, observe, educate yourself, and then try to apply different strategies, not at the same time, to see which one works the best for your kid. Every kid is different, every child works completely different, and what can be helpful for the kid that I was telling you with the 2 balls might not help to yours, okay? So, and try to not to put in the box of, he's doing that, let's stop it, let's put it away, let's look like it didn't happen, because he will repeat it again. It's not because of you. And this is the main point as well of this topic. Sometimes we have the really big misunderstanding that the child is doing it on purpose because of you, because you are the mom, you are the dad, you are the therapist, you are the neighbor, you are the educators. At all. Forget about it, nothing personal, but it's not about you. At least not this topic. It's about how they feel inside, the way how their nerve system is responding, and the way how they cope with their sensory emotions. And that's it. There is a situation that it could be a box, a ball, window, a light, a toy, whatever. and this particular item is making me feel that way. And I express it by hand flapping, I express it by stimming, by rocking myself, by making sound, etc., etc. Right? So I hope that this topic was interesting to you. Obviously, I'm going to leave it here. Feel free to share. If you have questions, write me down. And I will be seeing you in my next video, which is happening every Wednesday. Obviously, I much appreciate your following to Panacea Therapy Center, myself online as well, and supporting this channel. Okay, I hope that you have a good evening. Okay, and I will be seeing you next week. Take care in the meantime, and if you have questions, don't hesitate to write me. I always say the same. Okay, I will be seeing you next week. Thank you for watching and thank you for connecting.